Do you guys know anything about this issue that Kevin Hickson's bringing up here about the state of Florida trying to cap NIL?
I have not read up on a whole ton of that. I know that's kind of been a pretty heavy discussion on Twitter. I feel like the last week or two, the whole NIL stuff is a whole different world to me. Definitely when you're talking about Florida and the state and the laws that they're going to try to do. But I don't want to comment on it because I would be just saying blasphemous crap. I wouldn't know what I'm talking about, and I just act like I'm lying to y'all. So I don't know any part of that. Maybe Chris does, but that kind of I would definitely need to look at an article or two to see what that's all about, because I know it's very right now. Florida teams, it went from where Florida State wasn't doing so great in it, what 12, 15 months ago, to where now it seems like they are the hot school in the state for representing NIL and getting deals for players at Florida State, across football, across other programs. So something's going right in FSU's direction, it seems.
This whole conversation about capping the NIL and stuff of that nature is based off of one particular situation that Rashada potentially had down in Gainesville with Florida. Some reporter or beat writer wrote that there was a $13 million offer, and with no factual contract being sent out there for people to see, making that public or not. I will say that if anyone had offered a $13 million contract to anyone, it would by far be the largest one that has ever been offered NIL-wise in the state of Florida. So that would be the reason that it spoke on. I personally not for one second believe that type of money was offered to a high school kid, regardless of who it is or regardless of what they do. I have seen so many NIL deals from schools across the state of Florida for certain connections, as far as athletes wanting me or James Coleman to look into what the deal is and if it requires too much for them to be able to do due to the amount of stuff that's being asked as a student athlete. And there hasn't been a deal anywhere near that type of number for gentlemen that have definitely proven themselves, that definitely would be considered a higher end player. So I really don't think that there's too much merit to this conversation on capping in any amount of money in the state of Florida. I think that you have people that are talking on this matter that don't know a whole lot about what they're talking about. I do know that this month is when that legislation bill goes up for vote, whether we drop it or keep it. If we drop it, it allows us to do things that other states are doing, to where the school can be more involved with the NIL portion. Right now, the coaches in school can't have much to do with the NIL deals in specific. So legislation goes up for vote this month. So by August of this year, we'll know in February if we've gotten rid of this legislation or not. But by August it will become into play, and then we'll start going by those rules by 2024. But there's no worry for me or any of the collectives that I spoke to about there actually being a cap on players in the state of Florida.
I might be missing something here, and I am. And like Logan, I'm not going to say that much about it because I don't know. I don't know anything about this. This is the first that I've seen this, but I really don't know how you cap NIL because it's an outside company or group of investors basically paying an athlete or paying anyone. Anybody can pay anyone. Somebody can pay some 13-year-old on TikTok and say, we want to give you $10,000 to do X, Y, and Z because your videos are really popular. So this is what this is about. It's about people being able to sell their brand, and there's no cap on that. The only way that I would think, and again, I could be completely wrong and be missing this, but I would think that the only way that could be capped is if college football incorporated, just like the NFL. The NFL can institute a cap because they're running a business and say, well, if we make this much money, the players get that much money. As soon as our revenue goes here, then their percentage goes here. And if we start to lose money and make less, then they will make less. And it's all tied to business and running a business. But otherwise, when there are just private entities out there giving money to athletes, I don't know how you cap that.
Yeah, it would mean that you would have to, exactly what you're saying, Mark, and you're not off. That would mean that the student athletes become employees of the university. And I don't see Florida State I don't see NIL going that direction, so to speak. I'm not saying that schools won't ever be allowed to give NIL deals to athletes due to their abilities in the classroom, because I think Michigan does it, where they give their athletes like basically bonuses for doing well in the classroom. But it can't be pay for play. So I don't worry about that. And I don't think that that's going to happen. And the NCAA is trying to stay as far away from NIL as they possibly can. That's why they have so many, not enough rules, so to speak. It's very limited on rules. So I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I think the athletes want to stay away from being paid for play. I really do, because then that works the other way. You're not performing halfway through the season, bye, you're cut, you're gone, just like an NFL player.